to be the first class of a series where we are going to, let me make sure y'all get my good side. It is what it is for you people on Zoom. It's going to be the first class in a series where we are going over the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book and the Shift book simultaneously. That way you guys get a good, well-rounded education as far as building up your business and anticipating market shifts. So the class is actually meant to be very interactive, and you guys that are not here is going to be very limited on how much interaction you guys can do. But before we get started, how many of you own and have read either one of these books? Do you have them?
I have the audio of the red one, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
You have the Audible?
Yes.
Okay. So what I need, because I can get some of these books from Thomasina. So if you all want to put it in the chat box, if you need either one of these books, because these are the books that we're going to be studying. So if you don't own a copy, put it in the chat box so I can see about getting you a copy from Thomasina for free. Otherwise, you can order them from Amazon. But we're going to be doing them simultaneously. 1 week we'll be doing this one, and then the following week we'll be doing this one. Does that make sense? Okay. Has anybody read either of these books? I know with the Audible, you've probably heard some of it. And you said you've read a part of it?
I haven't read either one yet.
I have started the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, but not finished it.
Okay. Turning you guys up. So I have read this book probably twice now.
All right.
It's a really good read, and I think when it comes to like books like these, it's actually a very easy read, and I think that that's important because when you're trying to build your business and you're trying to like understand all of this, it needs to be in somewhat layman's terms, and they use a lot of charts and systems to incorporate into your business so that you can have a very efficient running business, so it can feel like clockwork. I don't know about any of y'all, but when it comes to real estate, it can kind of feel like we're winging it in the beginning. So how do you transition yourselves from winging it on a daily basis to actually having a system in place so that you know how to function and grow with your business? Does that make sense?
Yes.
And this other book, so when COVID first happened, everybody was buying this book. You couldn't find it anywhere because everybody wanted to know, how can my business survive a market crash? And that's what everybody was anticipating when we all went under quarantine. We all anticipated the market to crash, and then all of us to be like, well, now what do we do? So this book basically walks you step by step, not only how to anticipate a market shift, but how to survive it. And they go hand in hand because in reality, having structured systems in place is going to help you survive whatever market you're in. Who here is tired of the market we're in right now? Nobody?
Me.
I think that this seller's market has been quite brutal on newer agents because most of the time when an agent gets licensed, they work with buyers because buyers are easier to talk to. You have a better chance of getting somebody that's never done anything with real estate before, whereas sellers, they own their home. So you're already feeling outmanned, outmatched at that point. So when is this market going to shift? Has anybody have a good relationship with their lender where they get constant communication? Do you follow the news? What's everybody's predictions?
I've heard the fall.
The fall? Now, why do you say the fall?
That's what I'm told by lenders. They think it's going to start shifting in the fall.
Do they give
because the interest rates, they're going to start rising it back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, what I
You might have-
what I have read,
There we go. Try it.
what I have read is that there are so many homeowners that are behind with the payments that according to the predictions, in fall the market is going to start crashing because there is a lot of people that is behind with the payments 3 or 4 or more months. So a lot of people is not going to be able to keep the payments. So the market is going to start having a lot of foreclosures.
All right, say it one more time for me.
Yeah. Then I have read that there are so many homeowners that are behind with 3 or more payments in the mortgage that they are not going to be able to keep, because so far they are making it because the government is helping them financially. But there is going to be a point where they are not going to be able to keep making the payments because the government is going to stop helping them, and then the market is going to start having foreclosures.
Yes.
And this is supposed to start in fall.
And that's actually what I've been hearing, from both people. So interest rates are gonna start.
You're in mute.
All right. So basically what I was saying, that's the feedback that I've been getting as well, with like the lenders saying that the interest rates are gonna start to go up. Are they gonna get to like 6 and 7% like we were seeing a few years ago? I don't think so. It's just gonna kind of level out. And I do think that we will see our inventory go up because we will see short sales and foreclosures in the future. The question is, how bad is it really going to be? It's not going to, I don't personally think, like nobody really knows, right? I don't personally think it's going to be a crash like 2006. I think it's going to be something that we do see an increase on stuff, but we're not going to, people aren't going to lose value in their property, right? And I know that we have a lot of buyers that's concerned about it. So we have a lot of people who are saying that the market's going to crash because it's inflated right now with the buyers paying above appraisal value and stuff like that. So I would love to hear your opinion on whether or not you agree with that and why. Agree or disagree. And then I'll give my opinion. Anybody?
Can you ask the question again? Because I'm late.
My question is, a lot of people have been anticipating the market crash due to buyers buying above appraisal value. And my question is, do y'all agree with that statement? Yes or no, and why?
Okay. All right. Because I wanted to hear everybody's answers, but I didn't know what the question was. All right, guys, start answering.
Here, I'll mute. Let me lower myself so.
Nobody's going to answer.
I'm thinking about it because I know personally I was on a mortgage deferment plan. I mean, 8 months ago, I thought I was going to lose my
Okay.
house. I had no
I think
idea.
everything depends on how the government works with the homeowners and how they help the homeowners with the payments, the interests, and how they are going to handle all this situation. Because if people doesn't get help, we are going to have problems.
Yeah.
But again, it depends how the government will work with interest and all this stuff,
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, that's what I was trying to say. 8 months ago, I was probably about at least 14,000 behind. I thought I was going to lose the house. Today, I'm paid in full. And somewhere like 3 months ago, my mortgage actually got sold to a different company, which really freaked me out. But they continued the plan. And now, even though I'm paid in full, I keep getting this running balance with, I think, a lot of extra interest. So I'm confused about that. And I think that I think I'm going to manage if I have to pay it, but I don't think a lot of people, like, I don't know how they're going to get it back, be able to, if they hold us to that interest, that's really going to mess up a lot of people.
They're going to restructure it, Regina, at the end of your term. They'll restructure it for you. And there's a couple of different ways they can restructure the loan that the government's approved for. So when you're done with the time frame, like if they say you're good for deferment until December, then in December they will contact you about 30 days before your term date and say, hey, we need to come up with options. Can you pay what you didn't already pay? And they say, and most people say no. They say, okay, well, let's talk about a deferment plan. I'm sorry, a restructure plan. And they'll restructure your whole loan for you.
Yeah, but that's my question is, I've paid my mortgage like what I would pay with the interest up to date now, but I'm seeing a running balance where I'm like, I don't know where that comes from. I feel like that's like extra fees or insurance or interest that they're adding on. And so
yeah, they shouldn't be adding anything on except for what, the interest during the time that you didn't pay.
Yeah, when I call them, they're like, well, you don't owe anything else as of now. You're caught up. But yet I keep getting a bill that shows like $7,000 more. And so
yeah, I'm not sure what it is. Usually they restructure it and you don't have to pay that right now, but it's restructured into your loan again for the interest that wasn't paid while you were on deferment. But there shouldn't be any additional that's on there. But I would
look at it for you, Regina. Have them break it down. If you're not getting the answers that you need from the people that you have it financed through, go to another lender and have them explain it to you. Now, if you guys did any deferral payments on your mortgage, you are still getting interest off of that. Like I had that happen with the house that I sold. She deferred her mortgage payment for 6 months and did not realize that it was tacking on an additional $4,000 to $5,000 worth of interest within that 6-month period.
Right, during the time you weren't paying. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. There's that extra interest that I think the average person, their mortgage is enough for them to cover. And now with this extra interest, if people are held liable to pay for it, I think that's what's going to force a lot of people to lose their home and crash.
That extra interest only comes into play if they can't afford to pay their mortgage payment. So like it's not like mortgage companies are adding additional interest whether you're paying or not. That interest is only accruing because it's not getting paid. Does that make sense?
Okay.
But if they've got something extra on yours, let's definitely look into it and figure out what's going on there.
Yeah, I keep calling them. I'll call them again and look into it.
Yeah, definitely look into it and have the loan officer, one of ours look into it as well. But it should not be continuing to accrue, especially now since, you're caught up. But but back to the original question though, does anyone else have input on what Holly said?
Yeah. Anybody else have an opinion on what they think is going to happen?
I do.
Let's hear Thomasina's and then I'll share mine.
So y'all know that, how everything went in 2004 to 2006, and then on a little bit scattered till 2008, right? 2004 to 2006 is the beginning of it. So the government's prepared not to let that happen again, right? They are prepared not to let that happen. But the one part that everyone keeps forgetting is that the people who have the rental properties and lease them out to everybody, that was also deferred. And so it makes this downward roll that happens with anyone who had properties that were investment properties. And so the investment properties usually don't get as much as a levy with the government as anyone else. So I do feel that a lot of people who are investors, because the government was helping out the ones who were actually renting the property, right? The ones who were actually in the property renting it, the government helped out. they helped out the investors as far as like helping them with their mortgage payment. But the investors got so fed up because they still have to pay all the maintenance on the property, and they were making income. They were making income from the people renting. So if their home payment was, if their mortgage payment was $1,200, they could have been getting $1,800 or $2,000 from those people. Deferring that payment not only hurt those investors with their mortgage payment, but again, they got to defer their mortgage, but it hurt them with income, and that income is what they needed to continue on to help with the properties, to continue on their lives. And so that part's going to be hard. And that's where I think we're going to see a little bit of a dip. It's not going to be huge like it was back then, but we're going to start seeing that dip by 2024. It's going to come at the end of 2023 and then on. And it's going to be that sweet spot of investors and investor properties, because they can't continue on that way. Not to mention, when they defer their payments on their house, they can't take equity loans out to buy more. They've really held up all the investors in our area who did not have liquid to go and continue purchasing. And that's why you saw a lot of investor stuff drop down, because the government went in and did that. So that spot of the investments, you're going to see it go just like it did in 2004 to 2008. And you're going to see those properties come up and possibly go into foreclosure and short sales. But it's going to be those. It's not going to be like it was before with everyone else. Then on top of it, right now, if we continue to go where we're going to screw ourselves with giving $40,000, $50,000 over appraised, because these people are going to be stuck in these homes. They gave the money and now they're not going to get it back out. We're going to go back into short sales for that too. Again, it's not going to be as big of a bubble, I feel, that was in 2006, 2007 when it really hit, and then on to 2008. It's not going to be as big of a bubble, but we're technically in what we were in 2004, 2005 right now. So it's not going to be as big. It's going to be like 30% of what it was before, but you're going to see it. And you're going to have to know where to look for it. And the first place to look for is going to be those investments. Now, that's my personal opinion and outlook on it. I'll let Holly speak. I'm always up for a good banter. You know that. It makes us all smart and intelligent. We learn something from each side. So Holly, you go right ahead.
Yeah. Who's got over here? One of y'all. You want to say?
That is truth, because I have had a tenant when I was living in Key Largo. He did not pay rent for 3 months. So I called my lawyer to evict him, and the lawyer said, you cannot do anything. So long story short, after 3 months, that he was living there without payment, the rent, I paid him $1,500 in order for him to vacate my property, my own property. So I am pretty sure there is a lot of people that is in the same situation because of COVID. We were not able to evict anybody. So
that paid
yes,
for his tenants to move out so he could sell his property.
yes, correct.
Just to kind of like piggyback off of that, like personally, I have a lot of respect for Thomasina, and anything that she says, you can go ahead and put some money on it because that lady does her research. But what I want to get you guys thinking about when we are talking about a shift is we need to talk about the factors that happened in 2004 to 2006. What caused the market to inflate? What caused the market to crash? So then the lenders were approving buyers, whether they can technically afford it or not. Their interest rates were really high. They were getting approved, and the appraisal value did not even matter. They were approving it left and right. When I first got licensed, one of my first listings was a short sale of a little condo that was only worth $72,000, and I got licensed in 2017. So it was worth $72,000 in 2017. She had bought it when the market was inflated, and still at this time, who made her payments on time, owed $125,000. So as you can imagine, she bought something that the value was not there. It was not like the value was there in the beginning. They already said, hey, it's not worth this, but we're going to go ahead and approve the loan for it. And that's what caused the market to originally inflate then. And then that's when you see a lot of people who got in over their head. They couldn't afford to make the payments. They were house broke. In this particular situation, they're not getting approved for more than what the house is worth. They're not getting approved for more than what they can technically afford on paper. Like however anybody spends their money is their business. But on paper, they're getting qualified properly. What we are seeing people do is spend all of their savings. So what does that mean for them in the market? If we have another quarantine and we have more people lose their jobs, they have no buffer. They have no savings account. They don't have any cushion. Is our government going to be able to be there to save these people when that time comes? Could that cause them to have to go into default with their payments? You know, so like how much bailout can our country afford when we spend our nest egg to get living, you know? And it's not even like they're getting exactly what they want, guys. They're not getting it. How many people have buyers right now? Who's all working with buyers?
I am.
Yep. I know some of you silent people on the computer
am.
here. I know you got them. How many of your buyers are getting exactly what they want in their house? Big giant goose egg, right? Everybody's taking a loss somewhere. So we are seeing buyers spend their savings on a house that they're not even necessarily in love with. So we tread this territory lightly because we don't want them to have buyer's remorse, because who's the first person they blame when they hate their house later? It's not the lender. So by taking these things in consideration, do I see a dip coming in the market? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to be a crash like 2006? No, but that could just be hopeful coming from me because I don't want to be out of a job. I don't want to start my OnlyFans page. So anticipating these events, watching the news, talking to your lender, understanding interest rates, doing the research as far as what has caused the market to crash previously, seeing the patterns is what's going to make you better educated so that you can better prepare your clients. And what Thomasina was talking about when it comes to resale is, let's say they have a house for $250, they paid $20,000 above appraisal, so that means they paid $270, right? Then you have to tack on the interest for everything that was financed. So 250 of it was financed. Normally, when we talk to buyers, let's say they're a VA buyer, no money down, 100% financing, right? But they covered their own closing costs, but 100% financing. Normally, under normal circumstances, an average market, they would need to wait 3 years for a break even. So 3 years of making mortgage payments on time, paying down that interest. So when they go to sell, they have a break even. That's not walking away from the table with money. That is either I'm not paying out anything or I'm paying out minimal, right? So at a 3-year break even, how many years do you anticipate in a situation like this? Like technically it would still be 3 years, but they're thinking, I got an extra $20,000 I got to take into consideration. Why hasn't my property value gone up more? Why didn't it continue to rise? Why did it dip? Why did it level out? Whatever the case may be. Does anybody know how much a property usually increases year by year, what the average is for our area? Anybody have a guess? 6%. I got somebody saying 6%. Anybody else got a guess?
No.
Thomasina, you got a guess? I know Lauren knows. I see her name up here.
I know what it is. But you go ahead. I know exactly what it is. I'll tell you if you're right.
So has anybody ever, when you're looking at a listing or you're looking at the tax records for a property, have you ever looked at how the taxes increase? Because it actually tells you how much it increased from the previous year. And then you can search the area to find out what your average increase is. Has anybody done any of that? Does anybody else have a guess?
No, but I'm very interested.
I did my own.
Lauren, tell me, I know you know.
Well, okay. So before COVID happened, mine was like 1.4, 1.6% increase on the assessment year after year. And I used to watch it and get pissed, kind of, sort of, because my taxes are going up. And 2020, my assessed value went up 9.6%. I was not happy about that.
So I believe, and Thomasina could correct me if I'm wrong, 2% is usually
Yeah.
like average, 2 to
Yes.
3%.
Yep. So Virginia is 2 to 2.8%. That's all of Virginia average per year. The national average is 3.5 to 3.8. That's national average. Does anyone know what it increased over the last year in Virginia?
I believe Virginia Beach was, oh, what'd you say, Cynthia?
4.25.
No. Good guess though. Keep going, guys. Up higher. Guess up higher.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 11%.
I've seen 25 in some areas.
Yep.
Wow.
But the average all over the state of Virginia was 9.8% since March of 2020. 9.8 all over the whole state. Our area was 15.4. 15.4 was the average. Again, average. You just heard Holly. She says she's seen up to 25. That was average of all homes, right? 15.4. And in the United States, the average was 8.7. So again, average for the whole United States, remember, 3.4 to 3.8. So it's definitely higher. I'm sorry, 3.5 to 3.8. It's definitely higher, way higher, like triple, quadruple higher than what it has been. When we were in 2004 and 2005, it was like 40% increase. Like it was crazy numbers. It was like 30 to 40% increase on some of these homes. It was crazy numbers. And it was because of what Holly just told you.
Yeah.
And they would finance it. They're not financing it anymore. So we're a little bit more safe, but they're still going up in there. It's still pushing it. It's still pushing.
And I can honestly say because I have, when you're dealing with first time buyers, I'm sure majority of you guys can agree, they're usually younger people. We're seeing a lot of young, early 20s buying homes right now. And they're doing it right. They got their little savings account, they got their closing costs covered, their down payment or their VA, whatever. They're doing it right, but they are spending the entirety of their savings. And so, Mama Bear comes in and you want to stop them. You want to be like, no, but you also want that commission check, right? So where's your ethics line right there? So I've had a heart to heart with just about every single one of my buyers because they have to understand the market. Like, yes, buying is a sound investment, long-term. You're not flipping a house right now. It's long-term. And if you know you're going to be here, you know this is where you're going to be established, absolutely go forward with it, but spend where you're comfortable. And every time I tell them, I'm like, when you go to write your mortgage payment, are you going to sit there and say, I fucking paid $5,000 more than what this house is worth every time you write your mortgage payment? Like if that animosity is there, then this is not the house for you. But if you love the house, it does make it easier. If you see it for the long-term investment that it is, it makes it more manageable financially. But like these people that are emptying out their savings account, hopefully nothing happens within the next 5 to 6 years to try to help them get back to that level zero where they can break even comfortably, because the market is going to shift. It always does. It's a roller coaster. It's one that we love to be on, right? We love this real estate roller coaster, and the value will take a dip. Will it go back down? Will we lose that 15% increase that we've seen in our area? Or will it kind of somewhere in the middle? Will it just be a couple of points? Will we see an increase? I have no idea. Thomasina probably knows. I think somebody's been feeding her information. She's got a direct line with Jesus.
I will tell you, the So one thing that I do in my spare time is I'm always listening to podcasts. I always look online. I always read books. I read a chapter or a complete story in a Forbes magazine or something online every day. I listen to a podcast, one every day on business and real estate. I do this because I want to try to bring stuff like this to you guys during different, meetings or trainings. And I do put that out there. But you guys can also do this, right? So invest in your own business as well. I'm going to keep doing it and I'm going to keep bringing it to you, but make sure that you're investing your time wisely too. You don't have to do as much as I do, of course, but do a little bit, do the research, because you need to be ahead of the game. You need to know who to call when you're doing your lead generation, and you're not going to know who to call and when to call until you actually look at the market consistently. Don't forget, Rain has statistics too. You can pull Rain statistics anytime you want. That's what you pay for. Hurrah has statistics. That's what you pay for. Go on there and get those statistics and then start feeding it to your clients as well, because no one else is doing it. I'll tell you that right now. No one else is doing it at all. You all need to do that as well and feed it to your clients.
Absolutely. And it can start small. Like I have on my Rain dashboard, I took the time out to set up the market for local cities and stuff like that, like Chesapeake, Norfolk and stuff. So I see how many properties got listed in the past 30 days, how many sold, where their price range was, whether it sold for the price that it was listed for, above or below, how long it stayed on market. That way I can easily pull it for that particular city every single time. And there's tutorials on Rain that allow you to be able to set this up so you make it a nice, quick, easy reference. Find a trusted resource when you are doing your research for information. Like if you are listening to podcasts, or if you're reading certain articles, make sure wherever you're getting it from is actually trusted information. Who here has heard of the broke agent? I'm sure everybody follows him on Facebook, Instagram, right? It's funny, right? But he's not really giving us any market information. So we don't necessarily want to be quoting him unless you're putting it on a t-shirt. So you want to make sure that wherever you're getting your information from, like if Thomasina says it, to me, it's gospel. Like that came from the Bible itself, because she does, I trust her as a resource to do the research properly. So I will sit there and quote Thomasina like I read it myself, so just make sure wherever you're getting your information from is a trusted resource so that you're not contradicting what's really going on. And I don't know how many of you guys, how close you are with your lenders and stuff like that, but I annoy the mess out of my lender who sees me on a regular basis, and he always has the stock market playing on his TV. So he is constantly watching the numbers. He gets an update from his higher ups every single day about what the market's doing, what the numbers look like. Your lenders who are involved like that are the best ones, because they're going to give you the information that you need to better guide y'all's clients, because your clients trust you first before they trust their lender, because usually you introduce them to the lender. So it's just
and make sure you're putting that out there to your clients. Like I said, not just the ones you're working with, but for lead generation, do drip emails. And just so you know, in Command, people are consistently updating the drip emails to where you can utilize them. And they are top teams and agents that have them in there. You can take those and you can just adjust them a little bit to be with you. Not to mention, if you don't want to use Command, use another drip email campaign. I don't care, but do drip emails. It works. If it didn't work, you wouldn't get emails from Home Depot, Walmart, and Target.
So
I promise you.
Your database is important, right? You plug these people in and you set them up on these drip emails. You literally take 5 to 10 minutes out of your day to set it up, and then it goes to everybody in your database versus reaching out individually. Another thing is making Facebook posts about the market. Now, you don't want to get too much into the interest rate side of it, right? Because you don't want to put something out there that you can be held liable for, and financing is not really our thing. But what I usually do before I make any kind of financing thing is I talk to my lender. I'm like, hey, what can I post about interest rates right now? Because if I quote him, then not only do I have a reference for him to where I can send him any leads, but at the same time, I'm getting it from a trusted source. So you want to be careful and not post anything that's too on point with something, because you don't want to say interest rates 2.9 right now. You could say interest rates as low as 2.9 if you've seen it, but you can't guarantee that for anybody, right? So you don't want to do any kind of false advertisement, but by making Facebook posts or social media posts about what the market is doing, about what we're anticipating seeing, you have to do more than what people are doing. You can't be that person that's like, we need sellers, there's no inventory. Like, duh, we need sellers all year round, whether it's a buyer's market or not. You know, like we are always going to need sellers. We're always going to need buyers. Like that's just going to be the thing. So don't be that generic person. Dive in a little bit. Say 100 new homes listed this week in the Hampton Roads area, this many sold, whatever you got to do, because you can get that information to separate yourself and make yourself stand out on social media, which is just going to bring you people into your database. So when they decide they're ready to buy or sell, guess who's going to be at the top of their mind? You guys, right? Anybody have any questions or comments what we've discussed so far as what our market is doing? Okay, so not everybody here was at the very beginning, so I'm going to cycle back. These are going to be the 2 books that we're going to be going over. And what I'm going to do, we're still going to do the classes. It's going to be the first 2 weeks, the first 2 Wednesdays of each month. I think that's the days, the first 2 Wednesdays. And one Wednesday, we will be working on this book. And then the second Wednesday, we're going to be working through this book. The reason why I've chosen to do them simultaneously is because I feel like you need to know them all at the same time. You can study one and then not really understand the other, but if you study both of them at the same time, I think they're going to play off of each other and you're going to do really well with building your business. So if you do not own either one of these books, they are available online. And if you put your name in the chat, Thomasina might have some extra and I might be able to locate them for you. The goal.
If anybody who puts their name in the chat, I will send you the PDF of Shift. I have it on PDF. I have downloaded and put it on PDF now. MREA, I have at the office. If you put your name in the chat, actually that one you don't have to put your name in the chat. If you just go to the office, and Holly, there might be some there in that room across from the office that's there. Okay. If you go in there, you might be able to get some for anyone who's there right now. Okay. But anyone else, if you put your name in the chat and your email, I will send you the Shift, or Holly will send you the Shift PDF. I'll send it to Holly. And you can also go into the Hilltop office and get the MREA. But this is where you start. So for those of you, when I told you there were things that I read, me and Holly actually read parts of the MREA. Holly does it nightly. I do it every week. I read parts of it every week, but Holly does it nightly. We believe in it, and we're not the only ones. It's a #1 bestseller, not just because of Keller Williams people. We couldn't have done that on our own, but because everyone else utilizes it too in the industry. So definitely read it and understand it. And she's teaching from that. That is what she's teaching from at these classes. These are the most important classes we have besides the ones that Bill does. These are the 2 most important classes we have because they're always changing. They're never the same. She's always teaching something different. So make sure that you are getting on there, but we'll send you both of those. I have no problem doing that. Holly, were you able to get the tabbed ones today?
Yep, I actually picked them up yesterday afternoon, so I got the tab.
Perfect. Okay.
So
that's wonderful.
Go ahead.
Do you need anything else from me? I'll have to hop off here and go to my 10, but do you need anything else from me, darling?
Nope.
All right, great job. I will see you all on the next one.
I'll pull you those emails from you from the chat and I'll send you the list afterwards.
Okay, hon, or I'll just send you the PDF and you can send it to me if you want.
That works.
I'll send it to you right now. Bye, guys.
Okay, so what I would like to see happen in this class, because this class is going to work better when we have more interaction, is to try to get everybody here in person as much as possible. Yes, it will still be recorded. It will still be available on Zoom because we all got life that happens. But like I said, you guys are going to feed off of each other much better when you're physically in person and you're around other agents. So what we're going to do is, because since everybody doesn't have the book and hasn't read, your first assignment is to acquire this book. Like Thomasina says, they are at the office. And then you could just swing by and get it. Carla can grab it out of her office for you. And we're going to cover the first section from page 35 to 46 next week. Actually, let's make this a goal. We're going to cover the first two sections. So 35 all the way through page 64. I want you guys to take the time out to read it so that you can be better prepared for it. And let's have like a legit discussion over it so that we can start to like break this down. So like I said, we're going to do 1 week where we do this and then 1 week where we do that. We're only going to do it 2 weeks out of the month. You get 2-week break where you can read ahead, reread it again, ask questions. Not trying to burn anybody out. It's a lot of information, but I want to make this as interactive as possible for everybody so that you guys can get a full understanding, because there is verbiage in here that's kind of like specific to this book, specific to Keller Williams, and it may not make sense, right? So how do we take this book and apply it to our business? Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions for me?
Yes, what chapter does that cover up to for page 61?
Let me read it real quick for you because I don't want to lie. Because the beginning is just like all right, so if you go into the book and it says part 1, it says charting the course. So if you read or listen to, I should say, charting the course all the way to part 2, which is the 4 stages, Gina, that's what those first 2 sections cover, charting the course.
Charting the course. Okay. I'm trying to pull up the audiobook now to see. I know it doesn't, I'm pretty sure it doesn't tell us pages. So charting the course. Okay.
Yeah, it probably doesn't tell you pages, but it's going to go through the introduction, which the introduction is actually a good read. And then it's going to go through charting the course, and then you're going to stop at the 4 stages. I mean, obviously you can continue to listen as much as possible, as much as you want. Like I said, I've read this book twice. Yeah, Regina has the audio for it. Regina, where did you get your audio from?
It's in Audible, Audible. I just finished The One by Gary Keller. That's
Okay.
in there also.
It's probably on Amazon or whatever.
Well, it's an app called Audible. Audible.
Okay. Okay. So the goal with these classes is to keep them to an hour, because I know we all get real estate that we got to do, even though it's like blocked out for 2 hours on the calendar. I'm going to make those adjustments today. So we're going to keep it within an hour. Each class, we're going to open it up with just kind of, aha moments that you guys want from whatever you covered and what really spoke out to you and stuff like that. And then we're going to dive into the course itself. There's probably going to be some worksheets at some point. There's a 411 worksheet that is talked about in the book as well as in the workbook. When I used to teach this class before, I taught it through the workbook, but I want more engagement. That's why I'm going to break it down further and dive into it deeper versus just the workbook side of it. So there will be interactions, right? Because we got to start holding ourselves accountable. The best way to do that is to all come to class like we're back in school and have homework assignments. Does anybody have any questions for me before I let you go? All right, I'm going to get everybody.
I have a question.
Yep, ask away.
So when somebody puts a listing in Rain, like I'm following up on a lot of them and they're telling me that, they have offers accepted. When do they have to update that and note it? When they close, or are you supposed to update this when they're accepted?
Well, all right. So the way that this works when it comes to listings is if it goes under contract on the weekend or whatever, they have a lot of people have admin that handle that. So like, they gotta wait for their admin to get to it. But yes, it is supposed to be updated as quickly as possible.
Okay, I'm looking at houses that they're still not updated from Monday. But, okay,
I'm still waiting on replies back from agents since Friday. Like, everybody got stupid because of the 4th of July weekend. So ideally, we would love for them to do their job properly, but unfortunately, that's just not the case, and we're not their boss. So it's not really anything we can do about it.
it's all right. I was just curious. I just thought maybe I was wrong and they weren't updated until they actually close. So that's why I was asking.
Okay. So one last question for everybody before I let you go. Who all is going to be here next Wednesday?
I will be.
I will be.
Yay. Radio silence from everybody else. All right. My already in-person attendants are definitely committed. So I want to see commitment from everybody, because if you want to change with your career, you got to be a part of the change. It's not going to come just because we want it a lot. Like, I've been waiting for a husband for a really long time because I wanted a lot and I don't see anybody. So we got to make the changes, guys. So be here Wednesday. We're going to book this same room again, hopefully, and have a really good turnout. And we're going to change our careers, ladies. We're going to change our careers. We're going to make lots and lots of money. I don't see no men up here, so nobody can be offended. That's why everybody's ladies today. If y'all have any questions for me, I'm going to send out the shift one that she has. You can go down to the office and get yourself the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. We're going to cover the first section of it, and we're going to go over that on Wednesday. So read it ahead of time, be prepared. You will only be cheating yourself if you're not reading it and being prepared, because I'm still going to talk about it, but it's going to make a lot more sense if you've read it ahead of time. Wednesday at 9 a.m. here, hopefully in person. Yes, it will be recorded. Okay. All right. You ladies have a great day. Go make me some money. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.